What's up, everybody? The Crew Live coming at you live 3 p.m. on the East Coast, Monday afternoon. I am TJ Kelly. That's Courtney. What's up, Courtney? How you doing?
Hey, guys. I'm doing good. How are you, TJ? How's your turkey day?
It was great. I had 3 turkey days. I am so fat now. It's incredible.
Now you have a job where you sit behind a laptop, so I'm sure that's helping.
At least I'll get plenty of exercise, right? We do one side of the family on Thursday, another side on Friday, and then we have a whole bunch of friends over here on Saturday. And I never want to see another turkey again in my life.
But was there pie?
There was like too much pie. We're sending pies home like they're door gifts, you know?
No such thing as too much pie. I get through the meal to get to the pie, but maybe that's just me.
That's how I feel about cranberry sauce. Let's be real. It's true.
Oh.
Why are we friends? We don't like any of the same thing. I don't care.
Every time a subject comes up, we realize you and I are like the opposite sides of the turf there. Oh, well. At least we have a good sense of humor.
We're live on the page. We're live in all the groups. We're up and running, so happy Monday, everybody. Hope everybody had some time off. Hope you really did get to unplug for a little while. Courtney and I both are lamenting how we took some time off, which is wonderful, and I needed it. But now I'm buried under an avalanche of emails and requests and all that. And Courtney, I'm sure you are too. So back at it.
But, attitude of gratitude to have work to come back to, especially for a self-employed person. That's a blessing. So it was definitely on my gratitude list. I was like, all my client campaigns are running for the weekend. I have a job where I can choose to be off for the weekend. It's pretty outstanding. That's all things to be grateful for sure. All right, cool, man. So here's our topic for the day. We took it kind of heavy last week. So today we're going to lighten it up a little bit. So as a lot of our lives do, this topic stemmed from conversations that you and I have very frequently. You're a search engine optimization and content specialist. I'm mostly a Facebook advertising specialist, but I feel like you and I both get questions frequently about what is often referred to as organic social, right? Your Facebook page, your Twitter feed, your Pinterest, your Instagram, your whatever it is that you're doing, which is not necessarily something that you and I provide as a service, but it's something we definitely both do for our own businesses and do some of in isolated incidents for clients, right? So one of the topics that keeps coming up is there are 1,000,001 services out there right now for real estate agents that will post to your Facebook page every day for like $20 a month, $30 a month, like really cheap. And it's not terrible content. But even for $30 a month, the comment that I usually hear is, I post every day, I'm putting stuff out there, it's not bringing me any business. I'm tired of doing it, it's too much work, or, whatever it is, even for $30 I don't want to say, it's not bringing me any business. And I don't know about you, TJ, but my response is usually, okay, let me look at your page. And I notice 2 things. One, they barely have any followers, which means nobody is seeing that content. And number 2, the content has absolutely no flavor. Like it has no personality to it. Like you and I are huge goofballs online. We could really care. Like not that we don't care, but we just do. We just are the people that we are online. You and I both are that way. But a lot of these agents, whether they're generating the content themselves or they're having someone else post it, there's absolutely none of themselves on there. None. Like they've taken that line between my personal Facebook page and my business profile. And it's like a black line. Like there's no personality, there's no face, there's no voice, there's no tone of voice. They're trying to win relationships with people that they've never met or continue relationships with people they have met. And they're just nowhere to be found on those Facebook pages or their Twitter feeds or, I'm saying Facebook as a general rule. Right. So we thought we'd talk about that today is how do you gray that line a little bit between sharing yourself personally in your professional life and sharing yourself professionally in a personable way. It's a very fine line, but I think for real estate agents, you are your product more than almost any profession, right? You are your product. They can work with anybody and they have thousands to choose from. They can throw a rock and hit a real estate agent, right? So why are they working with you? They're not working with you because you're posting blog content every day. They're working with you because they trust you and they like you and they want to do business with you. So that's my segue. TJ, you recently are kind of expanding your own social standings? I know you're like hardcore on Facebook, but I know you're expanding that a little bit. Can you speak to kind of why that's happening and how it's going?
Yeah. So this has kind of been my conundrum, right? So I've been thinking about this for a long time now, and I'm, as you mentioned, implementing new strategies and new efforts and trying new things. So
I lost you.
Oh no!
I don't know if anyone else can hear TJ, but I can't.
Uh-oh. Hang on. Hold, please. I'm still here. I'm just doing the robot. I'm good. Nobody? Back? You there? We good? Not back? I can see you. You can't see me?
Oh, you're back.
I'm back. Hey, America. How's everybody? All right.
I heard no part of your response.
I basically stopped. I could hear you the whole time. All right. So my carrier pigeons and smoke signals and tin cans aside. This has been I've been thinking about this for a long time. So as you alluded to, I started to beef up my Instagram activity over the last 2 weeks, so just recently. And I'm doing this kind of, I put my first foot in the water, if you will, because this is where the kids are. This is where everybody's going. This is where all the activity is. Obviously, Facebook is still number one. Facebook owns Instagram, and they, are synced up really well together. But Instagram has a huge, vibrant, active community, and it seems just at face value like I'm missing the boat by not being on it. So, okay, I'm going to dive in. I'm going to do the Instagram thing. Cool. And that's fine. And I really have no problem with that. I know a lot of folks feel that way about a lot of different social networks. But I want to go a step beyond that. And this is where, my conversations with you and others have gone the last couple of weeks is why? Is it enough just to be where the crowd is? And everybody talks about start with why. This is my why. This is the big why. The big why for me in social media, it's got to be more than just go where the people are, though I think that's a pretty good, first step maybe. Now we lost Courtney. Well, I'll keep talking until she comes back. But so for me, it comes down to relationships, right? It's not enough just to be with the crowd. Courtney, you back? There you are. We lost you for a sec there. It's not enough just to be with the crowd and be part of the crowd. You've got to become a personality. You've got to make some friends within that crowd. And there are a number of ways that can benefit you. There's a number of things you can get out of being, making friends on these networks. But, everyone is familiar with know, like, and trust, right? You as to build credibility for your business, the audience out there needs to know you, like you, and trust you. Well, from where I'm sitting, know and trust are actually fairly easy. Knowing is a huge part of what you and I do, right? This is top of mind awareness. This is just getting in front of the right audience at the right time. That's get them to know you. That part's pretty easy to do. The formula is well established. The trust part is also fairly well established. You've got to be able to provide the right material at the right time, the right answers, the right direction, the right guidance, whatever the case may be, so that you establish yourself as an authority. But that like part that's in the middle between know and trust, I think that's where the money is. I think that's where the big question marks are on how people should be going about this. And I think it gets skipped over. I think a lot of people skip that step. So to your point earlier about posting, automated feeds or whatever to your Facebook, page or whatever. That stuff is great for top of mind. And maybe it establishes some credibility. And I know what I'm talking about. Look at all these awesome articles I'm posting. So maybe there's some trust there. But how does that help people like you? And to your point, Courtney, I don't think that can. I don't think you and I can make our clients well-liked. I think that has to come from the agents themselves, the small business owners themselves. I think that has to be a personal thing because the authenticity is key there, right? You can like a caricature of a representation of a character, but we're not actors. We're business people, right? So it has to be more authentic than that. At least that's what I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, and I will tell you that even if you may not always realize the impact that the things that you're doing are having, I will tell you, I have some quality referral sources out there. And even a referral, which we all know should have a fairly high close rate, right? If that referral has also seen one of my videos, my close rate is significantly higher. Now, did they pick up the phone because of that video? No. But what happens is then my name gets dropped by somebody else and they're like, oh, I saw her video. And I've never hesitated to just do me online, right? So by the time I get on the phone with them, it's not that I'm lovable. It's not about having a popularity contest, but there's a connection there already. You know what I mean? Because they've heard my voice, they've heard me speak, they've seen my face. You know, you and I talk very casually about our personal lives. You know what I mean? Like there's that likability, and it's not just video. It is not just video. I think video helps because people are able to look you in the eye, right? But it's a matter of, you know, taking a silly selfie when you spill your coffee all over your car. I mean, that's a silly example, but like, that's really likable. That's really relatable. And as real estate agents, you because of HGTV type shows, they have this picture in their head of what a realtor's lifestyle is and what they do all day. Sharing truth of what your day looks like and those genuine victories when you you're in a multiple offer situation and you freaking nail it and you drive to Baskin Robbins and get a bucket of ice cream. That's real. You know what I mean? Like that's relatable. Yeah. And I myself am not by any means rock star at this. I fall too much into the business stuff and I forget to put my personal, you know what I mean, me into my business. But I think, Pete, if you're trying to lead generate online in any way, you are expecting people to build a relationship with a hunk of plastic and a hunk of metal. And it's a ridiculous expectation when you say it like that, right? And yet we're doing it. We're dialing the phone and we're submitting lead forms and we're building relationships with people. So in the same way that you walk into a business card exchange and you don't shake somebody's hand, just like, here's my card. Why in the hell would they call you? Mm-hmm. You stand there, you have cocktail with them, you talk about the football game on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like there's a likability. And I'm not saying you have to post pictures of your baby on your business page. I don't mean it that way. But you have to put yourself out there a little bit, or choose not to go down the social media path, which I know there's a lot of trainers out there that'll say you better be doing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's not everybody's thing. Right. You and I were just talking about Twitter. I freaking hate Twitter. I hate Twitter. It is noise to me. It is just noise. So when people ask me, is your business on Twitter? I'm like, no. Like it is, but I don't use it. I should shut it down, truthfully, because it's actually doing more damage to my brand than it is helping, right? If it's not your thing personally, don't stress about it. Like, I think Facebook business page is a little bit of an exception to that, only because you need it to advertise, right? You have to have a business page. That's kind of my only exception to that rule. But if you don't like Twitter, don't stress about it.
Yeah. So
Instagram's the same thing. I'm with you a little bit. It's where the cool kids are right now. But unless you have a particularly visual voice, Instagram's not going to fly for you. It's just not. You are doing a lot of graphic stuff and taking time on that. But unless if you're a real estate agent and you're snapping photos of houses, that's visual, right? But just putting noise into the abyss, how is that generating, in my opinion?
So let's talk about that, because this is where I've been thinking is this exact problem, right? Number one, I do like Twitter. You're right, and I have been on it for nearly 10 years now. And you'd think I would have had more success after 10 years on a medium, but whatever. I have not been using it for that purpose for this amount of time. But regarding noise, you're absolutely right. There's more noise. The noise to signal ratio on Twitter is out of control. More noise on Twitter than any other network, at least that I've ever come across. 100% true.
And how do you break through it?
Well, see,
why does your noise matter?
Me, that just exemplifies why we're talking about this today, because the only way to break through it is to form a relationship one-to-one, right? So and this would be true of any network. It doesn't have to be Twitter. It just happens to be of the utmost importance on Twitter because of the ratio, right? But it's true on Instagram, it's true on Facebook, it's true on LinkedIn, it's true everywhere. Okay. So you put out whatever you're saying, whatever the medium is, the YouTube videos, whatever they are. Just treating it like a megaphone isn't going to do you any good. Just look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me all day long. That's noise. Nobody likes that. Nobody will ever like that, except, bots or something like that. So instead, it's got to be, here, look at me once in a while. Look at me, on a regular basis as you're publishing out new material. But then when other people are shouting, look at me, take them up on that. Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're sharing, what they're saying, what their videos are, and react to that. Respond to them with a dialogue, right? Now, I hate cliches. I my mission in life is to rid the earth of cliches, okay? So engage or start a conversation or whatever, all these stupid social media tropes, I hate them. But they have their root in reality, right?
Correct.
It is a two-way street. It is a discussion. It is a dialogue. It is a conversation. And without that, it becomes what I call the megaphone effect. It's just look at me, look at me, look at me all day. And that will never work.
Adding to the noise.
Right? Adding to the noise. Exactly. So
it's engage. I hate that word too, but it's engage. And it can't just be make a statement and expect someone to respond to it. It's looking for opportunities to respond to them. And I think like the Facebook private message feature, I can't tell you how many quality conversations I've had where I feel like it's more appropriate go directly to that person and send them a message and say, hey, look, let's have an offsite conversation about whatever it is. Or, hey, I feel like we should know each other.
Mm-hmm.
The number of referrals and that, like we're hanging out in the same space. I feel like we should know each other. My network of Facebook agency peers is worldwide because I just like see people doing cool stuff and I'm like, I want to know you. And then when I'm stuck on something, guess who I go to? When they're stuck on something, guess who they go to? And now we're building a relationship through a hunk of metal and plastic because we took the risk at engaging. Right. So, but how do I talk to so many agents, TJ, that like they just have this barrier.
Yeah.
That like they still have anxiety about being out there online and engaging. And some of it is feelings of safety and security. And some of it is feelings of how do I break through the noise? Why bother? Right. Some of it is I don't have time. Like, how do you counter those objections when people are like, screw this noise, I'm just not going to do it? Because
so let's make it tangible, right? Let's make it tangible. Mm-hmm. Bring it down to the real level. So to your point earlier, let's focus on Facebook. That's where you and I are right now. That's where everybody, our audience, hangs out. And to whatever degree these lessons apply to other networks, there is some crossover there, but your mileage may vary, right? So to make it tangible, you mentioned safety and security. You mentioned like what I would call personality. Like I just don't feel comfortable putting myself out there. Right. And then there's the I don't have time. And then there's the what is the ROI? What's the tangible business gain? There's 4 different objections there. Right. So let's walk through them. So the safety and security thing is real. I don't have a real answer to that one, honestly, other than, be smart about what you're doing and who you're sharing it with and how. I know a lot of people who absolutely refuse to show a picture of their children, or especially not like their kids' faces, for example. And I've never been one of those people, but I get it. And I will never knock those folks because I understand. What I don't like to show my house or my where I live. I don't want you to be able to know where I'm at, in the world, right? So that whatever level you're okay with. I know Snapchat, for example, with their map feature that they rolled out a few months ago, if you by default, and they may have changed this by now, but by default, anyone on Snapchat could find you, based on where you are in the world with your phone. They can just locate you, and there you are.
Yeah, see, that's too far for me.
Right. And so you had to go in and disable that feature. And if you didn't know about that, then it was on by default. So I think that they wised up to the security implications and maybe you now have to turn it on. But, each network or platform, or whatever, has its own kind of limitations and opportunities there. So do your homework. I have no tangible advice on that one other than whatever you're comfortable with. And I get it. I feel you on that. The personality one I struggle with. Go ahead.
I think in general, TJ, real estate agents have this really public whereabouts. You know what I mean? Like they post it says everywhere online that there's an open house at 123 Apple Street from 2 to 4. And people know darn well that there's going to be a real estate agent alone in that house. You know what I mean? Like there's certain security risks that agents take anyway.
Yep.
However, if you have a feeling in your gut, like what you're doing puts you at risk, don't do it.
Be smart.
Post the picture of the cool kitchen at the house out in the middle of nowhere after you get home. Like it doesn't have to be live. If you have a feeling in your gut, and a lot of people say about putting stuff about being on vacation, mm-hmm. because as people then know that your home is unattended, right? That's a big one too, along with kids. People are like, don't put your vacation pictures while it's happening because then people know you're not at home. I'm like, well, they can figure out where I am based on my So push your gut, people. That's my best advice on that one.
Bring that back to relationships. Even that can be an opportunity where, you can reach out to other real estate agents or commiserate online with other real estate agents or other people in the industry who say, have you ever felt unsafe going to an open house? And yeah, of course. And everyone's going to be able to relate to that. And it doesn't really help the actual security issue, but it does make you human. It does make you relatable. And it makes your online activity more relatable and more, likable, more trustworthy, right? So that even of itself is an opportunity, which kind of leads into the personality one. Again, I'm not like a psychologist or something, because I don't have any like actual advice to, modify your personality or whatever. But I can relate and understand the fear of wanting to put yourself out there. I feel it absolutely every day. In different things, like inside, like to get on a Facebook Live video with you in front of however many people have watched us over the months we've been doing this, does not bother me at all. But if I were to want to stand up in front of a crowd of like people that are in my town, in my neighborhood, that one will like kind of makes me nervous. I get up in front of a crowd all the time. Public speaking is not the issue. It's the fact that these people live near where I live, and I'm going to see them again. I'm going to see them every day. I have to live near these people and go to the same, coffee shop, whatever. That's a different level for me. So I can relate to this as well. But, here we are again. There's got to be something you can use to flip that on its head and say, well, I'm going to build a relationship with all these people so they know who I am before I get up on a soapbox or on a live stream or something. And now I'm their friend. And it's not as scary to be somebody's friend talking out online or whatever on a soapbox somewhere than it is to be a stranger, right? So even that can be an opportunity for relationship building.
Well, and I think you ease yourself into it. You know what I mean? Like making that silly video where you spilled your coffee all over your lap in the car trying to get to a showing and holding a contract in one hand and a cell phone. That's funny. That's very low pressure, right? You and I choose what we talk about on these calls every week so that we intentionally pick things that we're comfortable talking about, right? You get to make that choice. You're curating your own little universe, right? So if you're someone that has anxiety, start with the small stuff. There's an agent in town here. She does the daily dose of cuteness every single day. It's a picture of one of her 4 pets. It's hysterical. And it's the dumbest pictures. But if you're a pet person, which we inherently attract people like ourselves, right? By putting that out there, she's engaging and people think it's funny and she gets tons of likes of comments on it. And it's just her thing. She does the daily dose of cuteness. I think it's hysterical. I'm a pet person, but like, even if I wasn't, I'd be like, oh, that's a cute doggy. She's funny. Like she loves her dogs. I get grief all the time. Not grief, comments. We'll say comments. My company is Happy Turtle Marketing. Happy Turtle is named after my daughter. It's been her nickname since the day she was born. My little logo, there's the chubby cheeks on it, or because my daughter has chubby cheeks. My website, there's a very clear story of where the name came from and what it is. And I've gotten mixed reactions to it because some people are like, think it's tacky to some extent to like be using my daughter in that way. Whatever, it's in her honor. It's not, you know what I mean? And other people are like, I've had people say to me, because I share my daughter in that way, that it establishes my character and my why and my personality, that my family is priority in my life, even over my business. And if you don't connect with me on that, that's cool. You don't have to be a kids person, but it gives me that know, like, and trust. Mm-hmm. She's a mom. She loves that kid. She's forward about how much she loves that kid. She incorporated her family into her bit. Like, I'm not like tooting my own horn here, but just as an example, I've gotten mixed reactions to that. And truthfully, if you're somebody that thinks I'm an a-hole for doing that, maybe we're not going to connect anyway. So like
little qualification.
If we're not, we naturally attract people that we're like, mm-hmm. because of, especially when we're talking about branding yourself online. You're naturally going to attract people that are going to respond to what you do. So just don't stress about it.
Now the relationship is easier to form because you've already got something in common.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can start rapport building with people before you ever have a conversation.
Right.
If you think about a sales cycle, building rapport is always number one. So what is our job online? If it is the first step in our sales cycle, build rapport, build rapport, build rapport. Maybe it's not puppies. Maybe it's not babies. Maybe it's the football. Maybe it's the Eagles, whatever it is. Even if it's rapport based inside your business model, build rapport, build rapport. Mm-hmm. That's step one of any sales trainer you ever talk to.
Right.
Build rapport. And we have the opportunity to do that 24/7 online. Mm-hmm. 24/7. So if you think about it from that standpoint, it's a little less scary. You know what I mean? A little less intrusive, I think. If you think about it from a building rapport.
It's a good segue because the next objection is I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I'm too busy. And, we got a lengthy comment similar to this about blogging, that I don't have time for that. And, there's obviously a lot of crossover between blogging and social media and ads, obviously. So like I kind of lump all these things together for our purposes today. But, the I don't have time for that thing is like, well, then you don't want to have time for it. At least that's the way I see it, because you're making, everybody has the same number of hours in the day, and some people have time for it and some people don't. And you can either find the time somewhere or not, and like you just said, I don't want to my horn. In fact, I have no horn that should be tooted. Like, that's not who I am, but I don't really watch TV. The only thing I watch is football and the occasional like sci-fi series, because I'm a nerd. That's it. Like, I just don't get into Game of Thrones or any of that stuff. I never watched Lost. I never watched Mad Men. None of it. Zero. Sopranos.
Oh, TJ, how are we friends?
I know. And most people say that to me. They're like, who are you and why? Why are you like this?
But at the same time, TJ, how many times have I said to you, good God, man, how do you have time to keep up with all these Facebook groups? And you say back to me, it's a strategy and it's a choice. It's a
strategy choice, and I'm essentially replacing. I'm replacing entertainment with productivity. And I would not be able to do that if I didn't love what I'm doing every day, right? If it were like mindless drudgery, or if it was doing it for somebody else's brand and I couldn't stand it or something. If it was about some medical product that I don't care about, whatever, then I would not be as into it, and I'd probably sit back and turn on Game of Thrones or whatever, because I would need a distraction. But I don't feel like I need a distraction. I love what I'm doing, and I'm 100% committed to it, right? So for me, that's what it comes down to. There are trade-offs, right? We both have kids, right? We both have our own businesses. We both have spouses that are doing their thing. You and I have a lot in common in this way, and we know how precious every minute of the day really is. And for my schedule, that happens to be even more true after 8 p.m. I get more work done 8 p.m. to like 2 a.m. than I do 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., right? Just the way the schedule works. And that schedule is like horrifying to most people. And it's kind of horrifying to me too after a little while, I'll be honest with you. Drink a whole lot of coffee. But it works, and it's the schedule that I have needed to keep. So the way the schedule helps me build relationships is, you just said, it's, I'm active in a ton of Facebook groups. I have the Instagram account. I have every, social network that I can, just to keep my brand out there, right? And obviously, we need to talk about how to make that most effective with one-on-one communication. But the I don't have time for it thing is like, well, okay, then what do you have time for? And maybe rearrange it.
It's amazing to me, because then my segue question past that is, okay, then what are you doing to grow your business? And the answer is usually nothing. And I'm like, then you're not running a business. Like, that's not a business. If you don't have a marketing department, you're not a business.
What do you have time for?
What are you doing that you expect the dollars to just fall out of the sky? And it's okay if this is not your choice. Like, don't do this if you don't want to do it. We're not saying it's the only way, but like, do something and commit to it. So if you're saying you don't have time for this, and then I ask you what you are doing instead, if you don't have any time in your week that you're spending building your business, you're not running a business. Mm-hmm. You're just not. Yep. And it's, I'm the same way. Like, for, my really protected time is like 4:30 to 7:30. It's the hours my daughter's home. We get her to bed. And sometimes I'm often on the couch, but if my laptop or my iPhone's probably open. And while my husband's sitting next to me, no offense, honey, looking at fantasy football and reading nerd blogs, I'm sitting there in Facebook groups, answering comments and respond. You know what I mean? And I can choose to do that or not to do that with my time. But he's all the time like, my husband and I kind of have a quiet, hands down, like a put your phone down period of time. We try really hard to, because it's, the device. And half the time I'll be like, sweetheart, I'm working. I'm not screwing around on Facebook. These aren't baby pictures that I'm commenting on. Like, I'm working. This is part of my business. And my clients are engaging from 8 p.m. to midnight. So if I don't clock back in until 8 o'clock the next morning, I'm 10 comments behind in the conversation, especially if somebody is tagging me in something and saying, hey, can you chime in on this? Which happens a lot. I have a voice and an audience that people know with particular topics to ask me about. So we make a choice. That's the only point TJ and I are trying to make. You don't have to make this choice, but saying that you don't have time, fill that time with something. If this isn't your thing, great. You cannot outsource you. You can't do it. You cannot outsource your credibility. You can't delegate it to an assistant. You can't. it's impossible. I'm sorry. I've got friends that run agencies that manage social media, and they're going to kill me for this video. But like, I'm sorry, you can't outsource your own credibility. You can outsource content, you can outsource advertising, but like, you can't outsource you. That's going to be my new catchphrase.
There you go. I like it.
You can't outsource. We need like a quote board somewhere today. We need like a giant graphic somewhere with all these quotes. But here's the other piece of that though too, TJ. Is, how do I say this? What is the penalty right now for the agents that are choosing this not to be their tactic?
Well,
are you on board with if you're not already doing this, you're behind the game and you're getting left behind, and in 5 years, if you're not on Facebook, you're out of business? Like, are you in that thought process?
Yeah, sort of. Like, I don't think it's impossible for you to catch up, but I think that you'll have a steeper mountain to climb. I think the folks that are doing it now are getting a head start on you. You know, and we're preaching the choir, right? We're doing this in a Facebook group. So it's likely that people watching this are on board with what you and I are saying. So we're missing our target in this way. But yeah, I mean, if there are folks out there who are resisting the social media thing, if you ever care about doing it, and, you know, the argument could be made that like sooner or later that decision will be made for you and you won't have a choice and you'll have to, fine. But if you ever want to come back to this, start now. Earlier is better. But if not, if you're just the expireds and FSBOs referral type agent, fine, you're good. You know, expireds are always going to be there. FSBOs are always going to be there. It's just a tool, right? Facebook and all the social media channels are just a tool to connect you to people. I think it's the best one, but if you've got another one to replace it with, fine. If not, if you're going to end up on Facebook someday, you better start now because everyone else is already there, you know? And
well, I hate to be doom and gloomer, and I'm definitely on board with if it's not your thing, don't do it. Mm-hmm. However, I will say that I'm 32. I'm in the process of buying my second, not like my second home, like my vacation home, but like the second time I've been a home buyer. I will probably be selling that first house. I'm no longer licensed, so I need an agent. I've had Facebook since I was 19. The current home buying and selling population, they've been on Facebook since they were in high school and college, you guys. If you are not addressing that fact and you are still in denial about that fact, you're missing the point.
So let me actually.
It's not that you cannot reach those people without it, but it's a hell of a lot easier to reach them with it. Good grief.
So let's take that line of thinking one step further, right? So I said this online the other day. So in addition to the work I do in marketing, I also am a part-time music teacher. Okay, because all I have is time, and I'm sitting around doing nothing all day. So I had to go out and get a second job to stay busy, right? No, but I'm a part-time music teacher in addition to all this stuff, and I love it. That's like. I love doing that, but it takes a lot of time. Anyway, so I deal with middle school and high school kids all year, right? Just month after month, I'm dealing with these kids. They don't care about Facebook. Okay. And I know Gary Vee has talked about this, you know, where the kids go, businesses will follow. So follow the kids, right? And I think maybe a year ago now, he interviewed a few high school students in New York. And he said, what are your favorite social media platforms or whatever? They all said Snapchat was the coolest, but their absolute favorites are Instagram and Twitter still. And he was shocked to hear that Twitter was still so important to them. So for the question for you then is, you know, Facebook is too big to disappear. It's too big to fail, as it were. It's not going away. But if the trend in up-and-comers, if you and I in our early 30s represent the early Facebook crowd.
The Facebookers, yep.
By 15 years or something, what is next, and do the agents need to worry about that today and establish a presence on Instagram now so they're not behind the times in 15 years or something?
You know, that's a funny question because we didn't think Facebook was going to be what it is. So how do we know? There's been so many that have come and gone. and some that we think are going to be huge, like Pinterest, for example. A couple of years ago, it was all the rage that the realtors needed to be on Pinterest, that was the thing. And Pinterest is still out there. It's still kicking. But from a real estate standpoint, everybody kind of went, oh, this is way too much work for its, like, it kind of fizzled inside the industry. Like, it was kind of like, oh, yeah, no, we're done now. Twitter was the hot thing because people were like, it has had highs and lows in the real estate industry because the people that are crushing it on Twitter are crushing it on Twitter because they have a voice, they have an audience, they have the brand, right? I don't know. My kid's babysitter like mocks me because I want her to put, like, she doesn't interact with me on Facebook anymore. Her mom's one of my clients, and I'm like preaching Facebook, and she's like, Courtney, we're not on Facebook. I'm 5 years from the age you were when you bought your first house, and I'm not on like, she's on Facebook, but she's not on Facebook. Like, right. I don't know. Maybe it is. I hope it's not Snapchat.
Yeah.
Sorry to our Snap Packers that hang out in here. I hope it's not Snapchat.
So I want to get Snapchat. I want to be good at, or Snapchat rather. I want to be good at it. I want to enjoy it the way I see some out there doing. I know Dustin commented earlier. Hey, Dustin, what's up, man? I know you're big on Snapchat. I want to get it. I want to be part of the team. I'm struggling, trying to get there. And, you know, regarding Snapchat itself, one of the SnapPack co-founders, Shannon Milligan, my girl, you know, I've talked about her a bunch of times, just wrote a blog post about her. She told me when we were out in Utah a couple weeks ago that she had a client who bought a house from her and exclusively would communicate with Shannon via Snapchat. No phone calls, no text messages, no email, no Facebook messages, nothing except Snapchat. And that to me sounds just absolutely crazy. And I don't know how Shannon managed to pull it off. I guess you got to be a Snapchat power user the way she is to make that work. But I mean, if you know anything about Snapchat, the communications on that platform disappear. Like, how can that even be compliant in your real estate?
Just thinking, DJ, you have to keep records. She must be screenshotting things. That's the only thing. That's exactly.
That's exactly what we talked about. She's like, oh, that's the only choice I had was, you know, to take a screen. And, you know, I guess the real estate industry will have to keep up with the changing technology and communication methods. But I mean, talk about a relationship. You know, if Shannon is Snapchatting individually with this client so frequently and so much that the client, you know, reaches out to her via Snapchat, you know, direct message or whatever it's called, because I'm too old to understand. You know, then I mean that's
cool enough for Snapchat.
I know, single best relationship on Snapchat I've ever heard of is like I sold somebody a house. That's crazy. Congratulations, Shannon. But like, wow, we have some catching up to do. You know, she's clearly at the like bleeding edge or whatever the cliche is. Here I am at cliches again.
Well, but TJ, is this not where these agents are getting overwhelmed? Like they're like, screw it, I can't keep up. Like I can't keep up, so I'm just not going to do anything. Yeah, I get it. I do.
And you know that can also create an opportunity.
And we're sitting here talking about how you and I are not Snapchatters, even though we know we should be.
I try. I got my Snap code. Oh, look out! Sorry. Yeah, I mean, you know that could create an opportunity if everyone else is overwhelmed, and you're the one agent that takes the time, one agent in your area that takes the time to figure it out and commit to it. You know, then you're there. You're the early bird. You know, so. In chaos, there's opportunity, I guess. So,
all right. So here's the snappy wrap up because we're definitely like past our usual time here. The snappy wrap up is number one, you can't outsource yourself. So whatever social you're doing, if you're doing social, there has got to be some you. You're trying to get people to know, like, and trust you. You cannot do that with automated blog content. You have got to put your own flavor on it. And we're not talking about babies and puppies, although if that's what works, do it. But you need to have some of yourself in there because they're not going to gain trust from you. They may gain you may gain authority. You'll gain top of mind awareness. But ultimately, when they go to dial that phone, it's because they like you and it's because they trust you. So you have got to infuse that into your social. And I guess the secondary point is, whatever you're doing, commit to it and do it right, or don't bother. Because half-assing it's probably doing more damage to your brand than it is helping. Yeah. So if you want to get on the hottest thing right now, it's, you know, Snapchat and Instagram. If you are into it and you want to do that at a high level, do it. If Facebook is your thing, it's been your thing, keep doing it. But commit to it, do it right, or don't bother. Yep. Is that a fair summary, TJ?
It is, and I might add one thing, and that is that like find your local high school student and ask them what's coming next, and ask them to teach you how to do it.
Ask them what's cool.
Because you know it's not going to be
that group, TJ?
What's that?
We've aged out of that group, haven't we? That I'm getting
boy.
my news from my high school babysitter.
Exactly. It's the babysitter. That's exactly where it's coming from for me too. That and my students, my music students. So I want to throw out a quick apology. I see that Jason and Michelle have commented in here. Thanks guys for doing that. Be Live just dumped those comments in right now. I didn't see them. They were like 20 minutes ago. I never saw them until right now. So apologies.
Yeah, all of a sudden we have a whole bunch of more viewers than we had 12 seconds ago. Thanks, Be Live.
Thanks everybody for hopping on today. We would have been calling you guys out and asking more direct questions if we had seen it. So there you go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, feel free to keep commenting. We always respond. As we just said, we spend our evening
we'll just keep
hanging
talking
out with our spouses and answering Facebook questions.
Yep. Courtney, you're a theater person. We can just vamp. We can just kill time.
We're professional BSers, TJ. That's what I just heard you know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Camera. Instead of working, we're here.
All right, guys. Well, let's get everybody back to work. Thank you for jumping on the call with us. Hope it was helpful for you. And let's keep the good chats going.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.